Dear students, I am going to explain GST Series 5. So in this module, I will explain about the registration details, the registration advantages, the registration procedure, everything which is required to learn under GST. So let us see what it is. So persons liable to register. Who are all liable to register under GST? You know that GST is the indirect tax structure of our country, and then people, those who are doing business or service, they have to register. So every supplier whose annual turnover exceeds 40 lakhs and special category states, that meaning northeastern states and hilly states, the annual turnover limit is 20 lakhs. You have to remember that 2019 only this increase has happened. Prior to that, these limits were 20 lakhs and 10 lakhs respectively. So now the present rate is annual turnover 40 lakhs and 20 lakhs. Now procedure for registration. We have to register. If you are a supplier or a business provider, you have to register online. That is in the GSTN portal. GSTN portal is the GST. The entire GST portal, government is maintaining that. And it's completely free. You don't have to pay anything for that registration. So the mobile number and email ID has to be provided. Valid mobile number and email ID. Second thing, next thing you have to remember that if a person is operating in different states and union territories, say for example, if he is operating in Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, then he has to take 3 registrations. So separate registration is required for each state and union territory. Next is every additional place of within the state. See for example, within Karnataka itself, Mysore, Bangalore, Belgaum, Mangalore, different places if he is doing business, then he has to take registration for every additional place of business within the state. So this is very important. Within the state, they have to take, if they're doing business in different places, they have to take separate registration. Submit online application in the GSTN portal. That I told you, it's completely free. Now online application has to be filled with the relevant information. So all the information, if all the information provided is correct, I'm going to explain in another slide what all the documents required for that. Then they will get the registration. Registration is granted. If everything you have submitted properly, you will get the registration within 3 days. For any clarification, they will issue a notice. So if you have not submitted one original document, or if there is any dispute regarding the document you have submitted, they will send you a letter, and accordingly you have to resubmit that, and then you will get the registration. So any clarification, they will send you a notice, and when you submit the relevant information what is asked for, the registration will be granted within 7 days. Now, upon submission, registration will be granted. That meaning, what all documents or what all information, the additional information they ask for, you are providing, you are getting the registration. Some cases, the officer will feel that physical verification is required. So, in that case, physical verification, you have to remember, registration is granted after 15 days because the officer has to come and inspect the place of business. That is why the 15 days from the date of physical verification within 15 days. If the GST officer feels that there is a need for physical verification, then he will get the GST registration. So dates 3 days, usual case, if there is no mistake, if you have submitted everything properly, you will get the registration. If they are asking for additional information, within 7 days. With physical verification, it's 15 days. So these days you have to remember 3, 7 and 15. Now I told you which are the documents required for registration. PAN card, Aadhaar card of the business, copy of Indian bank statement. This is very important. Then IFSC code of the same bank and the branch. Then documentary proof of place of business. See, for residents, we will give the gas copy or Aadhaar card copy if it's in our residential address. Passport. So like that, documentary proof of place of business. Jurisdiction details. Where the cases, any disputes regarding that. See, when you purchase any item, you can see that behind the bill, lot of conditions will be there. Usually we will not read that, but always jurisdiction details for that sale. Whatever you received, the bill will be mentioned there. So in the case of when you are applying for GST registration, you have to specify where is the jurisdiction. Because if you are doing business in Bangalore, you can specify that Bangalore will be the place of jurisdiction. If you are doing business in Chennai, you can mention that Chennai will be the jurisdiction for business. Then authorized signatory who is a resident of India with valid verification documents like PAN card and Aadhaar card. The person who's doing the business, he also has to submit his original documents like PAN card, Aadhaar card. Now, photos of proprietor for individuals. Photo is very important because based the person who's responsible for that, who is taking the registration. Similarly, for partnership, partnership deed has to be submitted. Details of all partners, the address, age, what are their qualifications, all the details. If it's for companies, memorandum of association and articles of association. Now, registration. On registration, the supplier is allotted a 15-digit GST identification number. So, I'm going to explain how this 15 digits they will select. So, a certificate of registration of incorporation with the GST in number also will get. GST in number. That meaning your GSTN number. Any shop you will go, they will have displayed that outside the shop. So, you can see that what is the GSTN number. This number will be available in the GSTN common portal also. If you want to check that whether it's correct or not, when you're getting a bill, that GST number will be quoted. If you want to check that whether it's a valid number, you can always check in the GSTN common portal, which is maintained by the government. Now, what are the advantages of registration? Supplier or the service provider is legally recognized as the supplier of goods and services or a service provider. That is one advantage. He has the registration and government has given his the permission to do business and to collect indirect tax, GST, from the customers, legally authorized to collect tax from the customers. So otherwise, not an illegal activity. He is legally authorized. He has the power to collect tax from the customers. Now he can claim credit for taxes for his purchases. So when I'll explain the input tax credit, I will explain that. For purchases, whatever you pay GST, for supplies, whatever you are supposed to collect from customers, it is possible to adjust that, mutually adjust that, set off that input tax credit and output tax credit. So you have to remember that. I'll explain in one module how we will do this. Now, GSTN details, I told you how we are getting the 15-digit number. GSTN number, always you have to remember that it's a 15-digit number. So the first two digits are the state code as per the census 2011. Now, what is the state code? For Karnataka, it's 29. For Delhi, is 7. For Kerala, it's 32. Like that, each state or union territory is decided by a state code. Then the next 10 digits will be the PAN number of the taxpayer. Whatever their PAN number, whatever they receive for the business organization. 13 digit will be assigned based on number of registration within the state. If he is doing only one business unit, it will be 1. If he is doing 9 business units, it will be 9. Like that, based on the number of registration within the state, that number 13 will represent in the GSTN number. Now 14 digit is an alphabet Z by default. Every GSTN number will have the alphabet Z as the 14th number. Now 15 digit is a check code, that is either it can be an alphabet or it can be a number, that is decided by the GSTN portal. So either it can be, the last digit will be either it can be an alphabet or it can be a number, just like our PAN card details. Now, let us see the differences between GSTIN and GSTN. GSTIN, you know that what is the GST number, identification number. GSTN is the portal. Government maintains that portal to get all the information. If you go to that website, you can get all the information regarding GST. Who are the suppliers, who are the got the registration, all the details. So points of distinction, if you see, purpose, GSTIN, that is the GST registration number. A person, if he has to legally collect tax from customers and if he has to legally do business in India, he has to get the GSTIN, that is the registration number. GSTN is the GST network maintained by the government. Now coverage, you have to remember, GSTIN is the unique identification code. Just like any identification number, unique identification code. See, as individuals we have Aadhaar number, we have PAN number. So that is the GSTIN for a business organization. Now what is GSTN? GSTN manages GST portal. GST portal is managed by GSTN, because all the details I told you, who all are the authorized service providers, those who are doing business, what is the tax they paid, all the information you can get. Now, what are the objectives? GSTIN, it's a registration requirement for GST. GSTN is provides entire transaction details to the government. All those who are doing business in India or any import, export, every details they will get from the GSTN portal. So government can trace all the transactions and they can have a check on all the transactions, what is happening within our country. So this is what I want to explain in this module, that is about the registration requirement for GST. So what are the, how they are getting the 15 digit number, what are the advantages of GST registration, how GST registration can be done, what are the documents required for that, and what is the, finally we concluded with the difference between GSTIN, that is the registration number, and GSTN, that is the portal. Okay, this is what I want to explain. Thank you.